I own way too much Steins Gate merch. Because when I say a lot, I mean a lot. There's this, and really huge things like this. All these things behind me are a fraction of the amount of stuff I have in my collection, and to round it all up, I think my estimate total on this entire thing is a couple grand. I haven't really gone through and counted through everything. But why would I want to talk about this stuff today? Well, it's because today, July 28th, is a very, very special day. Today is the first official Steins Gate Day in Japan, because Japan's Anniversary Association has decreed that Steins Gate Day will begin every year on July 28th, which is also the start of the series itself. The day that Okabe finds Makisa Kurisu dead on top of Radio Kaikan. And if you also want to look at it in the other way, it's also the end of the story as well. But you probably already know about that. And I consider myself to be a pretty big fanatic over this franchise. I don't know why, but ever since I saw the first episode, it got me in its grip and it hasn't let go. So much so that my collection of things that started so humbly have grown to, you know, proportions like this. And so what I wanted to do today to celebrate Steins Gate Day was to actually talk a little bit about the merch that I've got. Things that make them cool, little perks, little things that you might not know of. And why I've basically just been a huge fan that's just been diving in and trying to get as much stuff as I can. So I guess let's get this started. And I guess I gotta talk about the granddaddy of all first, you know? This is Steins Gate on Xbox 360, the limited edition. If you didn't already know, Steins Gate is a visual novel that was first released on Xbox 360. So essentially, the version that I'm holding in my hand right here. And this is like the big box version as well, so it comes with some goodies in it too. For starters, you've got the art book. Yeah, it's slim, but it's mostly just character designs and things of that matter. It's simple, it's short, but I think it's actually neat to have. And the other thing that we have in this box is going to be this, if I can get it out. And the other thing is this, Future Gadget number 3. Could it be Ora Ora? Yes. Oh my god. Essentially, what it is a lie detector. That's what it's made for in the series, and it's like a pseudo one here in real life. Essentially, how this works is that you put your thumbs on these metal pads over here, and if it detects any perspiration from you, it's probably gonna activate. So that's how it's theoretically able to tell the difference between someone that's lying and someone that's not lying. I usually have this thing working, but since I haven't used it in a while, the batteries are probably dead. Following this trend, we've also got the PSP version of the video game as well, which is a literal one-for-one port from the Xbox version. I mean, a visual novel doesn't really take too much to run. I mean, you could probably run this on a potato and it would probably work. Inside of this special edition, we've got a crumbled up lab coat, and Okabe slippers that he uses inside of the lab. I would say what's nice about this one is that the slippers are actually kind of good slippers. Meanwhile, the actual lab coat doesn't really hold up too well. It's about 3 sizes too large for any normal human being. So I just kind of resort to getting my own lab jacket and things like this. I think this one's a little bit better of a fit. But you know, it is how it is. And then over here, I've got the still sealed edition of Steins Gate, My Darling's Loving Embrace, I think it's called. It's the harem spin-off where basically you date all of the main girls. And Rukako too, but you know, it still counts. What comes in this one is a keychain of Future Gadget 204, or better known as the Time Machine, as well as a CD as well with a few songs on it. Again, I haven't personally seen them with my own 2 eyes because my version of this is sealed and I feel like I just don't want to open it up yet. Maybe one day, but for right now, still sealed. And then over here, I've got another limited edition version, but this one is of Steins Gate Linear Bounded Phonogram, which is another spin-off of the series as well. In my personal opinion, this is probably the best cover art of all of the limited editions that there are, and it's also got probably the coolest bonus in it as well. Because when you open this one up, you get a replica of Okabe's phone. And essentially, this is directly one-for-one how it looks like in both the visual novel, the series, pretty much everything except like Steins Gate 0. Honestly, I think this is gorgeous. Very little times does a special edition come with an actual prop for like cosplay, but I think this fits perfectly. It's better than pretty much anything you can get that's made at home. In fact, I think most models that you can get that people make are based off of this version. And while this one is kind of like an over-glorified toy, I think it's fun to bring during conventions and things because it just fits with the entire aesthetic. It's also got some cool features as well as when you click the buttons, it makes character noises, and it's kind of low. It's kind of low, but it's still there. Works better if you hold it next to your ear. But essentially, each number on the number pad here has a different lab member that responds to it, and it works pretty great. But that's not it when we get to the limited edition versions of the games as well. The wildest one, I would say, and that's this Steins Gate double pack that I have. It's got both Steins Gate and Steins Gate My Darling's Embrace. But it being a double pack that has 2 games in it isn't the part that makes me go like, wow, this is really exciting. It's the part that's inside as well. And it's behind a certain flap here. One that when you get to open up, you get to see a certain Shrine Maiden's outfit. Yeah, this is a fully wearable cosplay of what Rukako's wearing throughout the entire game. And it is stunning. The edition that I have here is currently closed and it hasn't been opened, so that means that it's never been worn. It's like, hey, I kind of feel bad if I do end up opening this up, but one day I will because I feel like I have to. But I just think that's pretty great to have, just a full-on cosplay like that. And I mean, not too many people are gonna be able to put that on because, to be honest, who really is gonna pull it off?
Where are Shrine Maidens? Famous shaman still cool?
Not me, probably. Let me tell you what. But I kind of would want to wear their pin because I honestly think this one's kind of cool. When we're looking at the biggest version of Steins Gate that I have, it's gonna be this one for Steins Gate Elite, released for the Nintendo Switch over here. And depending on where you are, you had different versions of a special edition available to you. This one is one that I got over in Japan, so I was very, very lucky to find this one for a pretty affordable price. And what's so special about this one is that it actually has a limited edition version of the artwork in an actual frame and everything so that you can hang up. And this isn't just like a cheap frame, this is like full metal over here. This is a pretty good print of it as well. My only complaint might be that it's a little small, but I think it fits if you're trying to put it up in like a little office or a little room. But honestly, absolutely gorgeous here. But as you've seen, I have several different versions of the same games over and over again. Mostly on like Xbox, but I've also got the PS Vita versions and also the PSP versions. And now you might be asking yourself, hey, Bayfond, do you actually own a PS Vita or PSP to play these versions? And the answer simply is no. I absolutely do not. So the main reason that I have this is purely for the vanity of it. I like to have it, I like to look at it, and I like to know that I have it. So that kind of really doesn't help out the argument that this isn't hoarding, but hey, you know, it is what it is. But my love of the different versions of Steins Gate really does not end there. Because we've also got Blu-rays. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. Are they all the same version of the show? Yes, they are. I have all the editions of the separate volumes of these because each one of these has an actual piece of film that's from the series, just dedicated to the episodes that each one's in, and not any other special edition has this kind of feature to it. Yeah, sure, it's tiny as all hell, but this little film reel over here, it's got Moeka on it. It's nice bonus stuff to have, and I have it in every single one of the editions. This one over here is the North American release of Steins Gate, so if you're an American or Canadian or anyone in North America wanting to buy this edition of Steins Gate, hey, just feel free to look anywhere and you'll probably find it. It's got most bonus material, but it does lack a lot of the key artwork that you're gonna get in the different versions of it. What artwork might you be asking? Oh, the ones that are gonna be in this big old bastard over here. This is the most expensive version of Steins Gate that I bought, but to be completely honest with you, it definitely wasn't worth the amount that I paid for it. It has all of the same material that those single volume editions of Steins Gate has. It just has them all in one complete box, so this is just more convenient than everything else. And it's also a very good looker. I mean, this is fantastic. The art and bonus features are just completely inside of this. You get to see storyboard art on each episode and how everything was just kind of like played out. I will not say how much I spent on it because, to be honest, it still hurts my heart to this day. But yeah, those are my 3 versions of the Steins Gate Blu-ray. Not to mention the fact that I also own it on digital as well, so hey, that's something that you can't see. Then moving on from that, we've also got this, and this actually isn't a Blu-ray. In fact, these are actual CDs. This is a whole compilation of every single soundtrack from the series, which means there are a ton of songs in here. From the most obscure ones to the big fan favorites, you can probably find them all in this. Now, this one was definitely worth the price. I gotta be honest about that, because I don't think many people actually own this one. And honestly, I think it was actually a bit more of a scavenger hunt to find this exact version of it. And yeah, oh shit, I also forgot as well. I also own the Switch versions of Steins Gate as well. This is Divergence Assorted, which carries all of the spin-offs in the series, so it basically has Steins Gate 0, Pentagram, and Darling. So if you want it all in one place, you can basically get it with this. And here's where we can go into more of the literature side. Maybe you're someone that doesn't like to sit down and play a video game, or maybe sit down and watch an anime. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna wanna read the manga. This is the complete version of the Steins Gate manga here, and it's basically a straight up adaptation of the visual novel in the anime, though it does have some bonus scenes from other books and stuff here and there. The artwork and the pacing aren't really my favorite way of going back into Steins Gate, but it's definitely just another option that's there as well. I opted to get this hardcover version because why not? If I wasn't mistaken, this is a Barnes & Noble exclusive, but when I was looking for it, it was completely sold out at the time, so I had to scour eBay for quite a number of weeks to find this. Yeah, and I'm pretty satisfied with this version over here. here. All those same thoughts carry over to Steins Gate Zero as well. I own all of the volumes too. But the fact is that this one is longer, so I think it's better paced out overall. And if you want to keep talking about literature, there's also some other books that I have that I can't read because they're just completely in Japanese. And those are these 3 sets of books that I have over here. They're kind of more like audiobooks than anything because they both come with an actual physical manuscript, but they also have CDs with them that are essentially audiobooks, read by the characters themselves, so you definitely get the full experience there. Again, I haven't been able to enjoy these to their fullest because I can't really understand Japanese all too well yet, but maybe one day I'll get there. And as you can probably see from a bit of a while ago, I've also got these over here, which are essentially mouse pads and mouse combos for characters of the series. I got these because they were essentially like a part of a purchase that I got. I don't exactly remember what I was getting, but they were like a bonus part of the deal. It was these, and there was also one other thing as well. There were also these towels here as well. So basically you could use them as like posters and stuff because they're pretty large, and honestly they're like a good material as well. The main reason why I've kept this closed up is because I've heard that Japan sometimes doesn't use the best material for their towels, so much so that it might not be good for your health if you're gonna be using them. So I decided, hey, don't they just look good in a box? And they've been there until I get confirmation on whether or not it's okay to take them out. I'll follow this up with a whole ton of clear files over here. I don't know, some of you might actually like this stuff. I just get this stuff as like bonuses as well. I've got all of the main heroines here as well with like bonus art as well. So hey, that's honestly kind of cool. And if we're gonna be talking about art, then we can also be talking about more artwork as well. And that's gonna be with this guide for the actual game itself. I own 2 versions of these. One is like more in pristine condition, looks absolutely brand new. That one's just for like display. I put it somewhere and it looks nice. This one has been a little bit more used, so I gladly will be able to open this one up and look through it and flip through its pages. I don't feel bad about that at all. Honestly, it's got some good information on it. It's got gorgeous artwork, and the character profiles and the details are pretty extensive. This also serves as a guide, so if you want to use this to get through the game, you can absolutely do so. It leads you through every single route and what you should do. I also think this poster that's on the inside is actually kind of nice. And I guess from here, I can jump on to apparel, because this stuff ranges from a lot of different things. For starters, you can get the normal keychain things like that. They are things like these over here. I've got Okabe and Kurisu keychains that were like special edition promos back in like 2013 or so. I pretty much deem them as too collectible in my opinion, because if I put them on my keychain, they would get absolutely destroyed. And then we've also got some of the most iconic pieces of Steins Gate merch of all time, and those are gonna be the badges. These are probably my favorite thing to showcase the most because they are small, but they mean so much. They're life size, made of the correct material, and they're official. Something that it's kind of hard to find nowadays. These were released quite a few comic hits ago, maybe like 2013, 2014 or so. You've got both editions over here. You've got Suzuha's original one that has all the names kind of like obscured out. Meanwhile, the other one is the one that Okabe gives to everyone at the end of the series, the one that has every single name on it. So I think personally, I think it's very nice to have something that's almost an identical replica of what they're using. But we're not done there, as I also have Kurisu's jacket. This is one that was sold by Cospa a few years ago, and honestly, it is fantastic material. And it also fits pretty great too if you know what your sizing is in Japanese sizes. I've already cosplayed this and worn this to a convention or two. I think overall, it is pretty great. But that's not it as well, because I've also got this specific watch. This one was released around the time Steins Gate Zero was announced, and this is Kurisu's edition of this watch. Currently, the watch is stopped because the battery is kind of dead, but it's very nice, especially if you're gonna be wearing it out. No one is gonna be able to tell that this is a piece of anime merchandise. I mean, really, this is absolutely stunning in my opinion. The back of it is also pretty cool as well because it also has the lab badge on it too. The only thing is, I have had the battery on this one swapped out before, and that made it get a little bit of a scuff on it. But I'm a big fan of watches when it comes to anime merchandise, even though I don't really put them on too often. And I'd say basically to round everything off, I would say my favorite thing that I have here is probably gonna be this over here. They're very simple pieces of paper, but they have a lot of sentimental value now. And these are basically mementos of my first trip to Japan, both from Mailish Cafe, or you might better know it as May Queen. I went there earlier this year and I had a complete blast. Honestly, I could not recommend it enough if you go to Japan, because you're gonna have a fun time, even if you can't converse with anyone there. But I think right now that's gonna round off what I wanted to talk about with the merchandise that I currently have. Again, this is only kind of like a fraction of the actual stuff that I have. This isn't even counting the amount of figures that I have for this series as well. And that amount exceeds quite a bit. This also isn't counting the other stuff that I have for the other Science Adventure series. And I still think that I'm gonna be collecting for Steins Gate for quite a bit longer, because there's a few more pieces and a few more things that I kind of want to get. As you've seen, I'm sorely lacking in a metal Oopa, and that seems to be one of the main things that I need to get. And aside from that, there's also the Holy Grail, the one thing that would make me stop collecting, and that's by getting an actual IBN, or, you know, IBM in the real world. And that would be the day that I stop completely, full stop, because honestly, I don't think you can top that in terms of being badass. And with that, I think that pretty much wraps up today. And as always, I was very fond. And if you haven't already started your Steins Gate rewatch, honestly, I don't know what the hell you're doing. You've got quite a bit of time. Maybe you've got quite a lot of time. Because as you've seen, I think it's always fun to jump back into the series. See you guys next time, and peace.
健闘を祈る。L プサイ